Hi everyone. We're going to start a new topic today, and the topic is data handling. We're going to start talking about averages. Now, obviously, this is a topic you've done ever since year 6 and year 7, so we're going to run through this first part really quickly, but trust me, it gets a lot more difficult quite quickly. So first, we're just going to very, very quickly go through what an average is, mean, median, and mode. And then we'll move on to something more difficult. So hopefully you're all aware that the word average is actually ambiguous. So the word average could mean different things. And there's 3 different averages. So if someone uses the word average, they shouldn't really just be using that word on their own. They should be specifying which one they want to use. And the 3 are mean, median, and mode. Now you've heard of these lots of times before, but if you want to make some notes, please do. So the mean is the most mathematical one. It's the one that people usually mean when they say average. It's the one where you add them all up and divide by how many there are. Easy peasy. The median is the one in the middle, but even though you're in year 10, I can absolutely guarantee that a few of you will make the classic mistake, and that's to forget to put them in the right order. So you must put them in the right order, and then it's the one in the middle. Okay. And then the mode is by far the easiest to find out. The mode is the number which occurs the most often, if there is one that occurs the most often. Alright, so we've got 2 sets of examples here. Feel free to copy them out and make a quick note. I'm not going to do the mean because it's going to take me too long to add them all up and divide, but I'm sure you could do that yourself. I just wanted to talk about a couple of bits and pieces. So first of all, the mode, which is the easiest one on this data. So if you just look through that data, the only number that appears twice is the 3. So the mode is 3. Now, in a set of data, it's absolutely okay if it has no mode, and it's also okay if there's more than one mode, but just look through and look quite carefully at that. So the mode is 3. Now, as I said earlier, the median is the one where you've got to put them in order first. Now, what I'd recommend is you cross them off as you do that. Hopefully I'm not going to miss any, because otherwise I'm going to have to redo this video. So that's me putting the numbers in order, and now I need to find the middle one. And the classic way of doing that is cross off the smallest, cross off the biggest, cross off the smallest, biggest, smallest, biggest, smallest, biggest, and then we can find the middle one. And in this case there is a middle one, and that's because there is an odd number of bits of data to start with. So the median is 4. As I said earlier, I'm not going to do the mean, but it would be easy to add all those numbers up and then divide by, I think it's 9. You can do that yourself if you want to finish your notes neatly. Okay, so the second example is a little bit different, and the crucial thing is that there is no mode, because none of the numbers are repeated. They are all totally different. And the median is also going to be a little bit more awkward as well. So in order to do the median, we need to put them in order. Okay, there you go. Now, as you can probably guess, this one's got an even number of bits of data. So when we try and find the middle, we can't. We find the 2 numbers in the middle. So we need to remember that we're going to go halfway between the 2 when there are 2 numbers left. So halfway between 12 and 14 is nice and easy, it's 13. If those 2 numbers are quite hard to find the middle of, then what I suggest is you just add them together and divide by 2, and that will find out halfway between the 2. So that's a really quick recap of mean, median and mode if they just give you a list of data, which I'll be surprised if it's that easier in your GCSE, but it is important that you can remember those three things. So your teacher might have given you a quick exercise on that. If you want to pause the video, please do, and we're going to move on to the second section. Alright, here is second section. So now it's getting a little bit more realistic in terms of what might be expected at a GCSE. This is still relatively easy, but it's something that people get wrong all of the time. So we need to learn how to calculate the mean, the median and the mode from a frequency table. Same three averages, but we've got to do it from the table. Now, first of all, let's just make sure we understand what a frequency table is. So this column here is the frequency, and this is the data. So there are 3 zeros in our data. There is 5 ones, 9 twos, 1 3, and 2 4s. So actually, we could easily find out how many bits of data there are. So that's 1, 2, 3, 6, 15, 20. So there are 20 bits of data in my list, and they've been summarised in the table rather than writing them all out individually. It's a good job. I wouldn't want to write out 20 numbers. The good thing about a frequency table is that it shortens the list of numbers for you as long as there's lots of repeats. So there are 3 zeros, 5 ones, 9 twos. Now I'm just going to quickly show you what that might look like if it was written out. So 3 zeros, my data would look like this: 0, 0, 0. 5 ones. You get the idea. So don't want to write out all 20 bits of data, but it's quite important that you can visualize what's going on with the table. The table's just summarizing a big long list of data. So in terms of my averages, the one that's really easy is the mode. So we're looking for the number which occurs the most often. So we're looking for the number which has the longest set of repeats in the list. So what we're basically looking for is a number with the highest frequency. So the mode is the one with the highest frequency. Now, so many people will write 9 here for mode. It's not 9, it's 2. It's the number with the highest frequency. I can guarantee that lots of people will make that mistake. So we're looking for the biggest number, but then we're going to write down the one that it corresponds to, which in this case is the 2. So that's nice and easy. Now, in order to do the other 2, we're going to need to do some work. So I'm going to do the median next. Now, the median is still the number in the middle if they were written out in order. But the really cool thing about this table is actually the numbers kind of have been written out in order for us, because the 3 zeros at the top, the 5 ones are next, and the 9 twos are next, etc, etc. So they are actually written in some kind of order in the table. So all we need to do is work out whereabouts in the data my middle number would be. So if there are 20 bits of data, then the middle would be at 10. So I'm looking for the 10th bit of data. Now, bearing in mind there are lots of repeats in my list, I just want to know which one is the 10th bit of data. So looking down here, I've got 3 bits of data, and then I'm adding that with the next one, and I've got a total of 8 bits of data so far. And then I'm going to add the next one, and I'm going to get 17 bits of data so far. So I reckon that the 10th bit of data must be a 2. It's certainly not a 0 because there's only 3 of those. It's not a 1 because there's 5 of those, and in total that makes 8. So I think my 10th bit of data is a 2. In fact, I think it's probably the second or third number into those list of 2s. So I think the median is also 2, just by finding out where the middle is going to be and counting up my frequency until I find which number is going to be at that middle spot. So that's how to find the median from a frequency table. That's quite different, isn't it, to writing it out in a list. Mean is also very different. Now, it is still the case that when you're calculating the mean, you're going to add them all together and divide by how many there are, but in this case, you can do all that from the table. You don't have to write them all out and then add them all up. What we've got to understand is the method we're about to do is equivalent to just adding every single bit of data together in that list and then dividing by 20. But we're going to do it in a cleverer way. What we're going to do is we're going to add an extra column to my table. And in that column, we're going to do these two numbers multiplied together. So 3 times 0 is 0. 5 times 1 is 5. 9 times 2 is 18. 1 times 3 is 3. 4 times 2 is 8. Now, I really want you to understand why we are doing that rather than just do it. But let's finish and add this column up first. So 18 and 5, 23, 26, 34, I make that. Yeah, definitely 34. So why are we doing that? Well, that number 34 is exactly what I would have got if I had gone through and added up every single one of these numbers in this list. But I've just done it in a quicker way. How have I done that? Why have I done that? Well, those 3 zeros, they add up to 0. The next 5 ones, they add up to 5. And what about the next 9 twos? So if you imagine my list carrying on 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, I have to add up all those 2s. There's 9 of them, so that would make 18. And then I've got 1 3 in my list, which obviously adds a 3. And then I've got 2 4s, and that adds an 8 to my total. So you can see that actually this is just me building up my total one number at a time. So my total is 34. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do 34 divided by 20. Now obviously you can grab a calculator. I'm getting 1.7, I think. So 1.7 is my mean, and if you look at the data, I think that seems to make sense to me. You know, the median was 2, so the mean is going to be roughly the same. So the mean is going to be about here, 1.7. So that means that on average, using the mean, there were 1.7 goals per match. On average, using the median, there was 2 goals per match. And on average, using the mode, there was 2 goals per match. So you can see it depends on which average you use, but we are getting a similar number each time. So you might want to write some notes about what I did to calculate the mean there. So we added an extra column. We multiplied the data by the frequency, and we added up a new column, and we divided this by a number of bits of data. Now, you might want to write that out and just remember how to do that, but it'd be really helpful if you understood why you're doing that. Remember, all you're doing is you're trying to add up all the bits of data and divide by how many there are, and that's what we need to do in the table. So again, your teacher probably will have set you a little exercise now, and you can get on with that, and the video will stop, and then there'll be more of this kind of thing next time.